Hello, people, how's it doing? Today I just want to make a quick video, and before I start, I don't mean any offence to anybody. As everybody knows, anybody who knows me, I don't mean any offence to anybody. But it has to be said and it has to be done. And I'm just going to say it as straight as possible. We need to have a discussion. Our politicians need to have a discussion about immigration. I suppose you could put it that way, or mass migration, I suppose you could say, the Me Too have a discussion about it. The Me Too talk about it because, like you see in towns, small little villages in Ireland, being not. I'm not going to use the word overrun or anything like that, but you see them being put into small towns that haven't got the capacity to deal with the refugees, the asylum seekers, if you may use that word. But like Oaktown, I think it's a town, and it only has one doctor. That's not going to cover God knows how many of them coming in. With a small town, a small population, that there's not enough infrastructure in a small rural town. And the politicians, they don't want to talk about it. They don't. That's one thing nobody wants to talk about: immigration. It's like the way I put it, and the way I put it to people, it's like slavery in America. I don't mean any offense to anybody by saying that, but it's like that. The founding fathers in America, George Washington, and the people who wrote the Declaration of Independence in America, they didn't know what to do about slavery. They couldn't come up with a solution about slavery, right? And they passed it down to the next generation. And then it was passed down to the other generation. And then it came to Abraham Lincoln, and it was the biggest talking point for all them years. If you know what I'm saying, this is what's the biggest talking point at the moment, and that's what I compare this to. That we need to first discuss about it. The government needs to understand that we are a small country. We are very, very small. We are very rural. Every part of Ireland is nearly very rural, apart from Dublin, big cities. The small counties, small towns, small rural towns, small villages haven't got the infrastructure, haven't got the funding, haven't got the resources to take in refugees. Whatever about Dublin and Cork, they're cities. But I'm not saying that we should completely close the borders, and I'm not saying that. There has to be a healthy quota, a small few, not many. As I said, only 500 or 600 a year. That's totally fine. Because at the moment, as everybody knows, there's a housing crisis, the homelessness crisis. What I suggest to the government, and I mean to just say it, we would fix this country in 10 minutes. If we just closed the borders for a few days, we probably would fix in for not a few days, for a month or two. We probably would be able to house everybody's homeless in Ireland. We'd probably be able to, do everything. And then able to take in a few, and I use the word a few. But I just say to people, I don't mean any offence to anybody. I'm just saying my opinion, my view on the matter. Because we do need to have an immigration talk. The government needs to understand that there is people in rural Ireland. I remember even in Carrick and Shannon, not too long ago, asylum seekers were put into the town. They weren't even told. The people in the town weren't even told. And loads of young men came out, right? And nobody knew who they were. That was the worst thing about it. They didn't know who they were, what they were, where did they come from, They were just thrown into the town, and the town didn't know about it. Nobody knew in the town who were. And they were, understandably, they were terrified because they didn't know who they were. Which is totally understandable, completely understandable. But there has to be a talk done. The government has to start speaking, saying to the Irish people, look, I understand that the EU and the United Nations Ireland has signed up to take in some refugees. But the EU and the United Nations needs to understand, it's not like we don't want to take them in. It's because at the moment in time we don't have enough place to house the other people in Ireland at the moment in time. There's nearly 5 million people in Ireland at the moment. We don't have the houses nearly to it. We don't have the capacity in the house office. We don't have the capacities in our prisons. We don't have anything to facilitate the infrastructure that even if more people come in. And just saying that, I always said it, if any country, like even take the Netherlands, right, or Belgium, the native population, say people from the Netherlands, should have the 85% of the majority of the population in the Netherlands. That's understandable because it's their home country. And it should be the same in Ireland. Ireland should not go under 85% of Irish people in the country. You know what I'm saying? So 85% should be Irish in the West, other nationalities. Because, the home nation needs to have it. I understand there's so many Irish people leaving to go and get work across the world. Completely understand, because government policies are really just making them move. Because they don't want to move, but it's either that or starve to death in this country. But just to say, the government needs, and I'm begging, I'm not being racist or anything like that to anybody. I'm just asking the government. You need to speak to the Irish people. You need to address it. The elephant in the room needs to be addressed. And I think some Irish people are very delighted that the government finally addressed it. And they might feel a bit secure and a bit of, there is towns fighting. Anyway, thank you for watching, subscribe for more, and bye.